Hello, hello. Welcome to an episode of Remodelers on the Rise. Look at that new snazzy hat. Look at that new fancy logo. You'll be seeing more of that in the coming weeks. Getting our branding and our new logo, and frankly, a little business name shift in order. But I thought I'd wear this hat today because the topic today is, what exactly is it that Kyle does? Bailey and I were brainstorming today's episode, and she said, for this reason and that reason, you should do an episode on that. So that's what we're doing. Really, the genesis, the origin of this topic came at the end of the batting practice event that I did last month. That event was very enjoyable. Had about 25 people come in from across the fruited plains, and we spent 2 days training and improving the sales process for those remodelers. And at the end of day 2, we decided to kind of end things. I think it was at 3 o'clock, so that people that needed to fly home could do that. And then after that, we actually kind of stepped outside. It was a beautiful day here in Michigan, and it was just kind of an open hour of just ask Kyle anything. Thinking we could kind of follow up on things. There'd be 10, 12 people that would hang around. And I felt very much put on the spot because all those people wanted to talk about was me and my business. I think you see me up here promoting and hopefully delivering value and doing podcasts and doing events. And there's a lot of people that I've noticed, there's clients of mine who have expressed a lot of interest over time of like, how does your business work, Kyle? What do you do? Like, how's all that work? What are you thinking about doing next? So that was part of the reason why we're doing this today. Now, what was interesting about, as I was prepping, as I was 5P'ing, proper preparation prevents poor performance. As I was preparing for this, the topic that we're going to talk about is way more about you as a remodeler than it is about me and what I do. Because what I do is I solve problems for remodelers. I'm a business coach specifically for remodelers. I'm a business coach specifically for remodelers who primarily focus on kitchens, baths, and additions. If you're somebody that does window, siding, roofing, and that's your primary service that you offer and revenue producer, you're not really my people. I've kind of taken over time, in the 13 plus years I've been doing this, what I focus on is just narrowed down to a more specific ideal client as time has gone on. So that's what I offer. But I solve problems and deliver results for remodelers. So most of the content, most of what I'm going to talk about is just you as a remodeler and what you might be experiencing, and sharing some stories along the way. So one thing that I think we don't do enough of in our business, we're aware of it, but we don't think strategically about it very often, is what are the major problems that you have in your business? And you can answer that in the comments. I'd love a little interaction today. But when you think about your remodeling business, what are the main problems that you're experiencing, that you're struggling with, that you're wanting to fix? Maybe there's even just one problem that comes to mind, and it's this, Kyle. One thing that I have noticed in sales and marketing in general is businesses in general, when they get down to the root of it, solve problems for the client. When you think about your remodeling business, there are problems that you're solving for your clients, and it's very similar, even more so, and more easily recognizable for me as a coach. So what problems do you have? So that's kind of how I'm going to approach this conversation in this podcast today of what exactly is it that Kyle does. I'm just going to go through so many common problems that I see my clients experience and how I solve them. And hopefully there'll be just some value in explaining it. And also, hopefully it also just does give some insight and some clarity into how I work, just by chance that you might want to reach out to me and you might need some help with these types of things. So one of the things that often pops up, and we'll kind of start with that, is, and I'll have a series of questions here, but one question might be, do you want to make more money in your remodeling business? When I ask that question, the problem of, I've got good top line revenue, but there's just not as much as I would like at the end of the day. One of the biggest problems I have in my business is I just don't understand the financial side of things. I don't understand how to read my P&L clearly. I don't understand how I can grapple and get my systems in place where I can see some clear job costing. I hear people talk about markup. I've heard this. My competition does that. I've heard the gold standard in our industry is X amount of markup. And this is the number that I charge, but there's really no hard numbers or calculation behind it. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants in what I charge. I don't set up any kind of business budget. So when I need to make a hire or invest more in my business, I'm just not doing it very confidently and clearly. So this umbrella of problems around understanding your numbers, understanding your financials, that is an area that I do a lot of my work in. So a lot of my clients come to me, and a lot of remodelers come to me, and when I say, tell me about the financials, the numbers side of the business, I'm hearing people that are very good at what they do. They're very good at delivering a wonderful remodeling experience for their clients. The finished product is great. But when it comes to the numbers and the financial side of the business, they're a mess, or they're confused, or they're overwhelmed. It's just not a strength of theirs. And if you guys have followed me for any given amount of time, if you've just been in business, or if you've listened to other coaches, consultants, read the publications, gone to the International Builder Show or the Remodeling Show, you know that a huge factor in the success of your business is really having a strong handle on your numbers and knowing them in depth. So when you kind of ask, what exactly is it that you do, Kyle? Sometimes the initial coaching and the initial work that I do with a remodeler is getting down into the nitty-gritty details of their financials. I just started working with a new client out east yesterday, and the first meeting consisted of them sending me over their profit and loss statements for the last few years, sending me over some example estimates, sending me over an example job cost report, of which he did not have because he's not doing any job costing, and also filling out a pretty detailed getting started form that gives me a lot of insight into his remodeling business. And this meeting yesterday was us starting through the profit and loss statement and me asking a lot of questions, peppering him with questions, asking about his overall financial picture, challenging him and asking him, does he understand the difference between markup and margin, and starting to do some teaching on that. And out of that, we created about 4 action steps yesterday, 4 things that he's specifically going to work on between now and my next meeting with him. So when you kind of think of what exactly do you do, Kyle? Well, it depends on what problem you have. The problem and the description of work and the bucket of helping remodelers understand their numbers is a big part of what I do. And what I just gave you is a little bit of insight in how it works. It's me looking through the lens of having looked at hundreds and hundreds of profit and loss statements, working with hundreds of remodelers over the last 13 plus years, using my experience to poke and to prod and to challenge and to teach and to guide and to coach. And also part of the magic is what you heard there of creating action steps, specific things that my client is going to work on between now and the next meeting, and specific things that I'm going to work on between now and the next meeting. Rob says, I ask this question at least 3 times a year. What exactly does Kyle do? Well, Rob, I just gave you some insight into that. How about them apples? Okay. So that's one example in one area. Where I'm kind of going is just through some of the common problems that I help remodelers with. If I could add a little context to it, what I just described there is one-on-one coaching. One-on-one coaching. I usually put this old headset on so I look awesome. Now I look like a coach. So that's step 1. Do that. We get on Zoom, and just like I've done pretty much all morning, at 9 o'clock I had a meeting with Rob and Linda with Bailey Construction. We went through the priorities that they have in their business. We created some action steps. We did some coaching. Okay. So I would say 50-60% of my business, let's say 60% of my business is one-on-one coaching and revenue from one-on-one coaching. There's a certain capacity of one-on-one coaching that I can take on. The audio is better with the headset on. I've got this fancy microphone. I'm using this fancy microphone now. Oh, now you got me worried that. Oh, this is a problem. I apologize. I thought that I had selected this for my microphone. That sounds a lot better, doesn't it, people? Woo! I'm glad Jim mentioned that. Uh-oh. Oh, Bailey also said that. Sounds super funky. Got super clean when you put the headset on. Ow, she's been texting me for a while here. Oh, well, things happen in life. Okay. Well, you heard all of that other stuff. But back to what Rob said, a lot of it is through the one-on-one coaching aspect of it. At any given time, I've got 20, 25, 28 different one-on-one coaching clients that I'm working with, sometimes meeting very regularly, kind of once a week, others that I'm meeting every 2 weeks or so, some that I just meet once a month. And each one of them are coming with different problems that we're prioritizing. All right. So, wow, I apologize for that audio. That's a bummer, but things happen in business, things happen. All right. So that's one area. A lot of my work is revolving around the financials and helping people kind of transform that area of their business. The results of that are pretty self-explanatory. When you start to understand your numbers in depth, when you calculate your proper markup and you just flat out increase your pricing, when you start watching and being able to actually measure what gets measured gets improved, when you actually can measure your job costing, you become a better estimator, a better project manager, more profitable. I am convinced, and I've just seen it time and time again, that if you're messy with your financials, it is not that difficult to transform your gross profit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% in an improvement. It is not that difficult to take your net profit that might be a measly 2 or 3% and get that thing up into 7, 8, 9, 10+% range. Where you continue to, listen to this carefully, where you continue to do the same amount of work, where you continue to pour your effort and time and energy into the same amount of projects, where you continue to deliver for clients at a high level like you're doing, and have another $80,000 sitting there in net profit at the end of the year. Having another $120,000 of gross profit that you didn't have last year because you know your numbers and you're watching them more closely. If you're working your face off and you're not happy with what you're making, something needs to change. And a lot of times what that means, I'm still bummed about the audio. Bailey, was it really bad? It sounded funky. Was it really bad, or could you hear the first 5, 6 minutes? It was just rough. Either way, it is what it is. It's not like I'm going to go redo it. I don't have time for that. I got one-on-one coaching to attend to. All right. So that's the financial piece. I would say, that's a good chunk of the coaching that I do. Probably the next most popular thing that I'm mostly doing my coaching around, I'm going to give you some examples of just the one-on-one coaching because that's a big chunk of what I do, is, do you want your sales process and do you want to develop a sales process that protects your time and that you're very clear and confident in? So you got one area being the financials and kind of the business strategy and the numbers. You got another area being the sales process. Okay, that's the second of 3 areas that I do most of my work. And through one-on-one coaching, through some various offerings that I make, we dig in and we start with the initial phone call that you have with a new prospect. And we work from that initial phone call to what happens between the initial phone call and the in-person meeting. We look at how the strategy around the in-person meeting and how to conduct that well. We look at your overall process of how you charge for design and project development and do a lot of coaching and clarity and encouraging in that area. We just really look at each different section of your sales process all the way through to completion and what happens once the project is finished. And we open up each of those buckets. We look and see what you're currently doing. I give you some coaching and some advice on what you could improve and streamline. And we implement changes. We implement improvements. We work to streamline it. Okay. So what exactly do I do? The financials and the business strategy coaching, the sales process coaching. And then the third area that I have done a lot of work on over the years and continue to is, do you need a marketing plan that attracts more of your ideal clients and projects? Now, when I started my business, this was most of my work that I was doing was around the marketing plan development. As the years have gone on, it's leaned a little bit more towards the sales process. It leaned more towards the financials and the numbers as I've continued to be more experienced as a business coach for remodelers. But also, it's just kind of what my market and what my ideal clients needed Their most pressing problems are the first two that I mentioned. We've been living through times in the last 2, 3, 4 years where leads have been a little more plentiful and straightforward. Okay. So we'll go through and we will talk about, and when it comes to the marketing side, we'll go in and we'll talk about, where are your leads coming from now? Show me where your leads are coming from. How much are we spending and investing on marketing and advertising, and where are we spending that? Show me kind of your budget. Open up QuickBooks and show me where we spent dollars. And then we'll move into, once we kind of looked in the rearview mirror of your marketing, we'll look into just your overall marketing strategy. What makes you different? Who is your ideal client and ideal project? And we'll do some work around your messaging and what that looks like. And then we get into the marketing tactics, and we look at testimonials and reviews, your website, how you're staying in touch with previous clients, strategic partners. And we look in each of those buckets and really work to improve those. At the end of that coaching around marketing, we have developed a prioritized, clear, concise marketing plan with SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And you have a marketing plan and you have a marketing budget that gets plugged into that plan that you can confidently go and execute. The result of that is more consistent and solid leads, and a marketing plan that you feel in control of and that you can execute. Instead of a very haphazard, let's just throw something here, throw something there, you've got a clear plan that you can follow. Okay, so those are the three main areas that I do my coaching in. Now, along with that, I talk a lot about work-life balance. If you guys have gotten to know me, you probably realize that I'm a pretty passionate guy, and especially when I have the opportunity to get to know my clients, which one-on-one coaching allows for that, and over time I really get to know them. I ask questions about how their marriage is going. How are they doing as a dad or mom? How are they doing in their spiritual, their faith life? How are they doing with their hobbies? How's their stress level? These are things that when you're pushed on a little bit, when you're challenged on a little bit, when you're coached on a little bit, it helps you just realign your priorities. I create action steps like take your wife out on a date. Those are awesome action steps, right? Take Friday off in 2 weeks and go enjoy a Friday off. You've earned it. So we talk a lot about, stress level, workload. How do we delegate more work or hire somebody to do it? How do you lead your team well? A lot of coaching is about accountability, etc. Somebody just said, ready, fire, aim. Yeah, that's a thing. Okay. All right. So that is as far as exactly what does Kyle do. I just gave you a pretty good recap of the areas that I do work in. What you didn't hear there is, Kyle, can you help me with my estimating? Are you an estimating expert? No. Nope, that's not me. Kyle, can you help me on the production side of the business? Can you help me just really streamline the production side? Nope, that's not me. That's not what I do. We talk a little bit about how you lead your team well. We talk a lot about team meetings, but as far as the nuts and bolts of estimating or production, that's not me. What is me is helping you understand your financials and your numbers, helping you streamline and really create a sales process that works beautifully, and also help you create a marketing plan that is reasonable, that is clear, that works. Okay. You seem more subdued today, almost like you put a plan together for today's conversation. Maybe. I mean, I can get fired up in a hurry, but yeah, I've got a little bit of a plan that I was going through. Am I too subdued? Do you want me to get a little more feisty? Because I can do that. So here, I'll get a little feisty. Let me actually wrap up a few things. So what I shared there was mostly, yes, the different areas, but I was emphasizing the one-on-one coaching. I gave that example of the gentleman that just started. I could give so many examples of it. What I do is not really rocket science. My wife, it was many years ago, and I remember her asking me like, "Hey, how's your day?" And I said, "My day was good. It was good." And she's like, "Well, like, tell me about it. I actually want to know." And I'm like, "Oh, you want to know like the details? Well, that sounds great." Well, at 9 o'clock, I talked to Stu Kavner, and what we talked about was this and this and this. And then I talked to Brett with Oddfellows Contracting, and blah, blah, blah. And then I talked to, so and so, and we did this. And as I went into exactly what we were talking about and the action steps and the change I was trying to cause in those respective businesses, my wife said, "You kind of teach common sense stuff, don't you?" And at first, kind of offended me. And I was like, well, excuse me, honey. And then I thought about it more. I'm like, yeah, a lot of this is blocking and tackling. A lot of this is fundamentals. A lot of this is you already know what you're supposed to stink and do, and you're not doing it because this business is hard. Remodeling is very hard. Stack it up next to a lot of other small businesses and go ahead and tell me a industry and a vertical that is more difficult than residential home remodeling. Go ahead, I'll wait. It's very hard. Now we're jaded a little bit because we're in the industry, but when you line it up and you really look at the complexity of what you deal with, of going into people's homes, of the unknown of remodeling, of still needing to sell and market, of inspections, of permits, of materials, of labor, all of those things, it is a very complex business. So much of my work is not necessarily teaching this, wow, I've never thought of that before. Wow, Kyle, I've never heard it said that way. So much of what you know you need to do, you already know what you need to do. But the accountability, the clarity that I can offer, the challenge that I offer, the templates, the tools to make it easier to implement things, that's where the rubber hits the road, and that's where I can really help you move the needle. Neurosurgery, yeah, perhaps, yeah. Oh, what did I say? Did I say this isn't rocket science? This isn't brain surgery or neurosurgery. It's pretty straightforward. Genetic engineer. My accountant said no other business is this hard. That's right. It's very difficult. Okay, so that is primarily, hopefully, just by hearing that, you get a feel for what I do a little bit more clearly. And as far as how I deliver that, I've mentioned kind of the one-on-one coaching. The other way that I do that is you've seen me perhaps promote different group courses over time. In the spring, we did a course that was all via Zoom called How to Make More Money in Your Remodeling Business. And so much of what I covered there is exactly what I walk people through in my one-on-one meetings. Now, one-on-one helps you implement it faster, stronger, better. You got more accountability. But there's a lot of times where you can take a course and really make progress. You've got a problem as far as not understanding your numbers. You can take this course and you can get to results and change by really doing what I'm coaching you on in a group-based setting. There's the Remodel Your Marketing Plan, where I walk you through the marketing plan. There's Remodel Your Sales Process, where I walk you through the sales process. Back a year and a half ago, we did a course called How to Charge for Design and Project Development, where it's 5 sessions and we walk through that. So as far as something that's a little bit more affordable than one-on-one coaching, we've got these courses that are already kind of done. You've got access to the recordings, all of the templates and tools, and all of the slides, and you can purchase those courses and kind of do it on your own time and really take a problem that you have and get to a result. So that's a chunk of my business there. Another part of my business are mastermind groups called Remodeler Circle. Now, the prerequisite to get into one of my mastermind groups is that we've done one-on-one coaching together. A lot of times my mastermind groups end up being people that I've worked with one-on-one, kind of taken them from where they were to where they are now. We've solved a lot of problems, but this business is hard and there's always things to work on. And there's just great synergy and, dare I say, beauty in being able to be around people that are going through the same things that you're going through. Having that board of directors, if you will, having that sounding board, having that ability to do that. So there's some mastermind groups that I'm kind of realigning them and restructuring them a bit here in the last quarter of this year. And you'll probably hear a little bit more about that come 2022. A couple other things that I do as far as what exactly is it that you do, Kyle? Is this helpful for any of you watching? Did you guys understand what I do a little bit more now? I sure hope so. The other thing that I do are in-person events. I couldn't say that a few months ago, but we did an in-person event back in September that went really well. That's going to be in the works again in 2022. And then the other thing, you even see it down at the bottom of the screen, is a service that is offered called Remodeler's Autopilot. This is one little piece of your overall marketing plan. You need to be staying in touch with your previous clients. And this is a nice little $125 a month program. It makes it very easy for you to be consistent with staying in touch with your previous clients via email each and every month, and also via social media posts each and every month. And we make it really easy to for you to get those out consistently because we do it for you. You just have to approve it. So that's the other thing, a service that I offer. So what you heard there was problems that a lot of modelers have and solutions and results that I'm able to deliver. What you heard there is how I deliver it through one-on-one coaching, through live courses or events, and also through recorded courses, and also staying in touch with your previous clients. Somebody wrote, no other industry is so cobbled together like a favela without standards or significant barrier to entry. It's also a young industry that is still largely unregulated. Many business owners who are actually tradespeople who suffered from an entrepreneurial seizure. If you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can click approve, and I can see who's actually writing this. So I'm not sure who that is, but yeah, there's some definite truth in that. One thing that I just absolutely love about our industry is that it's full of a lot of really good people. You've got to be a pretty, now there's a lot of knuckleheads in our industry too, but a lot of the people that start to hang around me and get involved in the community and I do coaching with and I get to know are just really, really good people. And they're very talented at doing the actual remodeling work. But as far as being able to actually do it profitably, to do it without your stress level going up and up and up, to do it in a very professional way, there's a lot of work and improvement that we need to do and that we need to put in. Cool. I have a friend that took your design course and really loved it. Excellent, Rob. Now, Rob, you said earlier, I asked this question about 3 times a year. What exactly does Kyle do? Was this helpful in answering that question of what I do? I hope so. Favela equals a shack city. Think Brazil. Interesting. I was wondering, did you assume that myself and my astute audience didn't know what a favela was? Well, yes, Kyle, I knew that you didn't because you butchered how you pronounce it, I bet. Jib said, I need help in all areas. Yeah, and that's one of those things where it's kind of like, I hear you. Now, where do you want to start? Right? We can't be, I'm more and more convinced the longer that I do this coaching thing that we need to just focus on fewer things at a time. We need to give ourselves a very specific goal of this is the problem I have. This is what I need to accomplish to solve this problem and get some results in this area. And over the next 90 days, here's what I'm going to focus on and do to change and improve this. What we end up falling into, and I do it as a business owner as well, is we try to do, I need help in all areas, says Jim. So we try to do 4 or 5 different things at once, and we just don't have the time to devote to that much on the business work. We got too much in the business stuff that we're responsible for. So I think often we just need to start in one area, get some momentum going, get some things brewing, and then we can move on from there. And Rob said getting there. Good. Well, at least we made some progress on that today. What else would I want to? Michael says, favela, emphasis on the middle word. Favela. I had a hunch that might have been a little Michael Anschel posting that. He must have gone in. If he did post that, he just corrected me on the favela. Favela. Emphasis on the middle of the word. Favela. What's the origin of that? Is that I don't know. Favela. Okay, I learned something new today. I hope you all learned something new today. I was a little apprehensive about doing this because it's a little focused on me and what I do. I'm very used to just giving value, and teaching and coaching. But I think it's also helpful when we have a service that is something that can really help and transform someone's life. We should talk about it. And hopefully, in the words of like Gary V, jab, 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 right hook. I don't know if I gave a full out right hook here, but sometimes you give value, and then you can right hook and say, this is what I do. If you're interested, reach out to me. And you can reach out to me. My email address is kyle@remodelyourmarketing.com. That's going to change when the branding changes in the next month. And you can also reach out to me via a little text message or a little phone call, 517-902-8450. Michael says that favela is Portuguese. Beautiful. All right, my friends, that's all for today. We'll talk to you again soon. Catch you later.